Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Luke.
And I'm Dan.
And this time we have a video for you on planting corn. So what are we going to do, Dad?
I do that, huh? That sounds kind of interesting. We're going to show what we do, from where the garden sat from last fall, the condition it's in, and get it prepped, the soil prepped, and whatever it takes to do that. And then we'll put the seed in the ground, put the drip tapes back, and ready to go for the growing season.
Mm-hmm.
Add fertilizers and whatnot.
And I'll be asking questions like a dummy so that you guys can get as much information out of this old guy right here as possible. Sorry. Hey, it's the truth. We're honest on our channel.
Yeah. Too honest, maybe.
Okay, you're allowed to take some dings at me too. That's fun though. So let's get going.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so here we're just going to do a little bit of corn today. I'm going to do some experimental varieties just to see if we can find something better than what we have been growing for years. And we've always been growing Vision sweet corn. It's been the best flavor and the best sweetness that we've ever found, but I'm always looking for better. So we're going to just do small plots. And when you do small plots of corn, you don't want to just grow one long skinny row. Where I've driven by people's gardens and they got one row of corn. Well, the problem with that is the pollination, because the corn grows up and starts to tassel and starts dropping pollen, and the wind maybe be blowing that day and blows all the pollen off to the side and it doesn't land down on the silk of the corn and won't pollinate. So you get these real unfilled ears of corn and big kernels and empty spaces and just an ugly ear of corn. So you always want to, when you're doing small areas, you always want to do it as much of a square as possible instead of a long skinny row. That way the wind blows a little bit, you'll at least get onto the next row next to it and get that pollinated. So we're just going to do, these are only 4-foot wide beds, and I'm just going to do, I think, just 2 different varieties today to put in here. I'm going to do the Vision as a comparison to that's our old standby variety, and then I'm going to do a new one. And that one is called Natural Sweet. It's a hybrid, of course, from Johnny's. And we'll see how that compares to our Vision. So now we need to prep. We've pulled the drip tapes aside. We have 3 drip tapes that run down each 4-foot wide bed. We've pulled them aside, just taking the staples out and pull them aside, so now we can add our amendments and tilt this with the tilter, this little machine here, to make a nice fine seed bed that makes it easy to plant. So I'm just going to add these amendments to the soil, and today's kind of breezy day, so it's not the best day to do this because it blows away some of your nice amendments. So I'm going to kind of keep it down as close to the ground as I can, so it doesn't blow away too bad.
So can you tell viewers what you have in that mix?
This has got fishbone meal in it. It's got some feather meal in it for the nitrogen, the long, slow release nitrogen. And it's got a lot of minerals like rock dust, green sand, basalt rock dust, just for the mineral content. It's got kelp in it. It's got gypsum in it for the calcium. And of course it has some of the micro minerals in there with those rock dusts, but then I also add a little bit of zinc sulfate, a little bit of magnesium sulfate in there. And boron. Boron is very important in our soil. It's a highly leachable mineral, and so it washes out of your soil quite rapidly. So I always try to add just a little bit of boron and keep the boron levels up, because without boron, the calcium has a hard time getting to where it goes in the plant. So there we got that. Just add it on there. Get this little machine and fill it in.
That looks like fun.
Yeah, very easy. It makes a nice seed bed.
You should just move your handle sideways.
Yeah, move it further.
Yeah. There, so you don't have to try to hold the thing all sideways.
And there that one is. Now we'll just go over to the other side. Do the same thing. All right, and let's do it one more time to incorporate those minerals a little bit better.
Okay.
A little more thorough mixing. Yeah, there's a little bit on the side here. I didn't get mixed in very good, so I'm going to run back over that, kick that in a little bit.
Okay.
Just so that we get that goodie. It's not sitting off to the side. I've got to get it in there where the roots are going to be.
Yes.
So just kick that off back in there so we can get that tilled in with the tilter. There, I'm just going to run back over that. Should have done that to start with. Looks like there's something sticking. Got something in here making a line. Not sure what it is.
Is this something trailing behind, like a stick or a rock behind on the
flap?
Yeah.
Sometimes I lose a staple. Maybe
it's probably that piece.
Might be that piece of plant material.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find a staple that I missed and grind it up.
Oops.
There it is. I think I'm going to make one pass down the center there. It kind of didn't quite make the lip of the bed with 2 passes. There we go. And grab the landscaper's rake here and just level this out a little bit better. It kind of tends to pile it up at the ends. And rake that in the sides.
So when Dad does gardening, he does landscaping?
What's that?
When Dad does gardening, he does landscaping.
Oh. I guess it's part of trying to keep things neat and tidy.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll put the drip tapes back.
Mm-hmm. So he just pulls it tight, the left end there. Pretty easy to keep it nice and straight. It's actually not that hard to deal with the drip tape in the way that Dad does it here.
There we go. Now put the staples back in.
All right, so we have a video on drip system and drip irrigation. If you don't have a drip system in your garden or you're interested in using it, you can find that link probably on your screen in the top right hand corner right now and down in the video description.
And if you haven't watched our other videos, I don't put the staples all the way down and leave them up so that the drip tape can expand and contract without buckling and making a funny looking mess in your garden.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind. Just leave them so there's room for them to wiggle.
Don't tighten down on the tape.
Yeah. And there's beets planted in here, so I want to make sure I got them back in the same spot that the drip tapes were before, so they don't go off to the side and not get watered where they need to be watered.
Looks like you're putting the staples about every 3 feet here.
Yeah, if I had more, I'd put them a little closer, but this works all right.
Uh-huh.
They make you can buy stainless steel ones or galvanized ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought about doing that.
Stainless?
Well, I think the galvanized, because the stainless, why these work as good as they do is they get all rusty and they get all rough.
Yeah, right.
And so they stick in the, stay down in the ground better and hold things down better.
Yeah.
Galvanized ones stay pretty clean, or stainless steel even cleaner yet.
Right.
And so it wouldn't really
Hold as well.
hold the stuff down like you're holding fabric down or something.
Right.
But for just the drip tape, I think either one would probably work and last longer than these, because these don't last very long when they're just raw steel. Pull that weed out of the way. You don't want weeds. And you pull them when they're small and they don't go to seed, and you get rid of all your weeds and don't have to be fighting weeds. Enjoy gardening instead of weeding all the time. Okay, so now we'll plant one of these corn. So let's see, I'm just going to divide this bed in half. So we'll just do one corn variety about right here, and the other corn down to where these beets start, right in here. These beets I'll be putting a row cover over with hoops, and that keeps all the leaf miners off. It makes beautiful greens that you can eat without leaf miners ruining them. So I just make a little furrow right close to the drip tape. Don't have to be very deep. The deeper you go, the colder it is down there this time of year. And you want warm soil for germinating the corn. So on this bed, I'll just do one on each side of the drip tape. On the big bed, we'll put a row on either side of the drip tape. But this is too close to do that here. You wouldn't be not enough space between plant rows. So just do
between the drip tape rows. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't walk in the harvest or anything, but the big patch you can walk in and harvest it with enough room between the double rows. There we go. So we got 3 rows there. And I usually double plant my corn so I make sure I have a good crop and not real spotty. But since I've just got little packages of seed this time, I think I might just do single, and we're just trialing it, so we're not really growing it for, processing and canning and freezing or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and these are kind of funny looking seeds. They don't even look like they're any good. Look at that, they're all kind of dark. Those are ugly looking seeds.
Huh.
I hope they grow.
Interesting looking.
Yeah, that's really, I've never had that seed look like that from Johnny's.
Huh.
Maybe I will plant double. They don't look very good. Sorry, Johnny's. So we'll just plant 9-10 inches apart in here. Put 2 seeds. And then if they both happen to germinate, I just cut them off when they get about a foot tall or so. Cut one off and leave one, the biggest one, standing. That way you can kind of pick and choose which is the best seedling. And there's our line across there, so we'll stop there. And now in the next row over, instead of lining them up right with this row here, we'll put it right in between. Gives them a little more space for the roots. They don't have to compete with the row right next to it. So we'll just put 2 seeds, put it right in between there. Somewhere like that. Somewhere a little closer than others, I guess, but that'll be all right. Oops, they're falling down. Yep, don't want to lose them. There we go. Yeah, these are funny looking seeds. It really makes me wonder if they're going to be any good. I've never ever had a seed look like that? We will find out in a few days.
Yeah, might be amazed.
Oops, let's read down there where we
Our line.
our line there. So that's the natural sweet one. Okay, now we're gonna plant the Vision sweet corn, a good old standby. Wow, these seeds are really different too than what I'm used to. What's up with Johnny's?
Yeah, it's just might be your eyes, Dad.
They're little tiny things, little itty bitty seeds. They look like they've been
Dried out?
GMO'd or something.
Oh,
And they
don't want that.
They
if
get
that's what-
dark stuff. I wonder if that dark stuff was some kind of a seed, organic seed treatment.
Uh-huh.
It's MXR, which is a treatment, so that might be what that is. But these are really tiny seeds compared to what I've always gotten before.
Huh.
Really different.
Huh.
And it's very unique. Well, we'll see how they grow.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do all right.
Well, it's Johnny's. I mean, it shouldn't give you bad seeds, so
No,
especially for the price.
2 seeds in each spot, like we did the other. All right, here's the kitty corner in between those two. I'm going to stretch one
Stagger
over
'em?
here. Yeah. Yeah, put one right there.
Yeah. Whole bunch of pill bugs running around in there. You can
Yeah,
see.
there's a lot
There's
of them.
gobs of them. Look at them all.
Don't like pill bugs. They say they don't eat live plant matter, but I can guarantee you they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scientists that say that, or biologists, whatever, don't know what they're talking about.
Look at them all in that. They're all falling down into the trenches, and so there's like a whole pile of them. And
Yeah, hopefully the tilter kind of give them a headache. There.
they're all doing
Now we'll just
somersaults and flips.
cover them up and tamp them down a little bit and be done. Put a label on it.
All right, so
Just cover them up.
I got to start asking you some tips here, because I know the viewers are going, okay, he's planting corn, but where are those tips?
And then I tamp them down so that they make good contact with the seed, so there's not any air pockets
Uh-huh.
by the seed, so they can get even germination. And try to cover them with, same amount of dirt, not put some real deep and some shallow,
Yep.
so they kind of
Come up.
all at the same time, best you can. Helicopter making noise now.
Yep.
All right, one last row.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be faster if I thought of having a wheel
Yeah, roller.
and just roll it on there and make it so much faster and to press it down, tamp it down.
Yeah.
But I haven't taken the time to make one yet. I used to use the back wheel of the planter,
Oh, yeah, right.
but that planter I sold it because it didn't plant evenly, consistently, and
Yeah.
yet you spend $600 for this planter and it's not worth anything for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so natural sweet is here, and I just put the writing so that the sun's not going to hit it, because it's just a little marker and it'll bleach it out and you won't know what you got
Oh, so you just put the writing on the...
Put it so it faces the north side, so that,
Yeah.
in fact, I usually do, I put it over here at the beginning, and the
So
writing's
it's facing
the
variety.
yeah.
The words face, yeah.
That. And so then we just turn the drip lines on and water it in, and good to go. So when they come up, then we'll just wait for them to get up to about a foot tall, and then pick the strongest, thickest stalked, nicest, healthiest one, and cut the other one off. And that way you can have pretty much 100%, coverage. There's no empty spots, which is nice. And it's just a matter of keeping them watered and weeded, and wait for the silk to turn brown, and then you can pick it when it's the right time. You can peel back the husk a little bit if you want to know when to harvest it, when it's ripe. Peel back the tip of the husk, and you can take your fingernail and punch like the end kernels, and you get either a milky, kind of a whitish colored fluid out of it, juice out of it, and that's ready to go. But if it comes out clear, then give it a couple more days. It's not ready yet. It's not to its peak sweetness, so you want the juice to become a milky, white color.
Yeah, so for folks that are watching, can you give us some general rules of thumb, pointers on a few different things? So how about planting time? When do you plant corn?
Just as soon as the frost is past, the last frost date. And if you go by the moon phase, then you can kind of look at a calendar and find out when's a good time to put it in. So.
And you can put it in the ground before the last frost, or is that not a good idea?
I wouldn't, just because corn likes warm soil, and you'll get poor germination, or you'll get
rot.
A chance for the bugs. You might have wireworms or some other kind of worms in there that'll attack the seed. As it gets moist and gets soft, they'll get into it and just eat the germ out of it, and of course it won't grow.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure the soil is warm so it germinates quickly and gets up out of the ground before it gets hit by bugs.
All right, so that takes care of when to plant it. What about how much to water it? I mean, you're using drip irrigation here. Some people might be trying to do some overheads. I mean, a lot of people that don't have drip systems.
Yeah.
What do you have any rules of thumb? Just try to keep the dirt moist, or?
Yeah, you just keep it moist, but you don't get it too moist. I've in the past, sometimes in my learning experience, I'll water it heavy one day because it's really hot maybe, and then all of a sudden you get a windstorm to come through and the ground's all wet and saturated, so there's nothing to hold this corn up, and the wind just blows it all over, and that's kind of disheartening. So then you go back out and you pick them all back up and step them back in, push them back down, and they'll be all right, but who wants to do all that work? So don't water it so much at a time that, if you happen to get a breeze, it'll blow them over. So just moderate, and it all depends on your temperature and the soil.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you like drip irrigation, obviously, for corn quite a bit better over overhead?
Yeah.
You prefer it?
It works really good just because you don't have all the water hitting the thing and knocking the pollen off maybe earlier, just pushing it off to one side, and the water lodging in the corn, the ear of corn, getting in the husk and causing dampness, and it's just not going to be a good deal. So yeah, when you got it down the ground level in the drip system, you avoid all that. Plus you're not growing weeds everywhere, because you're only watering right where the corn's at. So
yeah. So that's some good useful tips on drip irrigation versus overhead in regards to corn. And I think I already said, but there's probably a link down in our description of this video where we describe and explain drip system setup and all the fittings, and give you a good idea of how to set it up yourself. So you can check that out. Another thing that I'd like to ask you too is, what about the soil composition? Ingredients that you might put into amendments, or obviously it's a heavy feeder. So what does that mean? And it needs a lot of nitrogen.
Yeah, it needs a lot of nitrogen. You have a hard time overdoing the nitrogen, but I suppose you can.
On corn?
Yeah. And of course you want phosphorus in there so you have a good root development that will hold the plant up. Some people will even go along and kind of hill once the corn gets up a ways, they'll come along and hill a little bit, just add a little more dirt just to get more stability for wind resistance. If it gets, if you get a big rainstorm or something and you get a wind with it, you can lose your crop, all fall over, it's not very nice.
Yeah. Typically what you use to amend it, I mean, you did some mineral amendments and stuff this time, but you would typically in the spring put on some chicken manure?
I usually do that in the fall or during the winter.
In the fall, okay.
You can kind of see over here, this bed here, this is my main corn place, and you can see there's chicken droppings in here.
Oh yeah, I can just...
There is some ash. The light gray stuff is ash from the wood stove.
Okay.
But there's a fair amount of chicken droppings in here that I've put in, and that of course is a real high source of nitrogen, and it's had most of the winter time to break down, the rains and the snows and everything. So it's not like just putting on fresh chicken manure. But even fresh chicken manure will still work with corn. Just don't go too heavy on it with fresh.
Right. Yeah, because corn is it can take a lot of nitrogen.
It can take a lot of nitrogen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you put in the mix that you put in there, the amendment mix? Could you share with folks what you put in it?
On this one here, I just did a little bit of boron, and I write it down on my calendar. That's the way I know what I did next year when I go to do something.
On what day? So that hooks it to a day.
Yeah.
By default. So that's nice.
So there's kelp, there's boron, there's DE, there's azomite, there's aragonite, fishbone meal, feather meal, humates, basalt rock dust, sulfate of potash, gypsum, zinc, and manganese, and neem meal. So that's, of course, there's certain amounts of each thing.
Yeah.
And depending on what I think the corn needs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and so I mean, people are gonna say and ask, that's a lot of stuff, and that's just kind of like not practical.
Yeah.
And so, how much would you don't typically apply this every year on your garden on your
I do
corn
because
crop.
we have sources, but if you don't have the sources like we have, you certainly don't need to do this.
Yeah.
You could use chicken manure, you can use cow manure, or compost.
Yeah.
All those things work just fine. But if you don't have the minerals in your soil, you're not going to get them in your food that you're eating. So you need to have all the minerals that you're looking for your body in that soil, so the plant can take it up, and you can take care, eat that and be fed nutritionally. But if your soil doesn't have it, your food's not going to have it. So that's why I may go overboard and get in a lot of minerals in there, because I know minerals are super important for human health. And so I make sure we get a good dose of minerals.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of micronutrients that aren't in soil. It's been depleted by using your synthetic fertilizers and just the way you crop things without they don't put the crop residue back in. They don't put compost. Farmers don't do that.
Yeah.
So it's good to start with, at least get a good base to start with.
Yeah.
And a lot of these minerals are not highly leachable. They'll stay in the ground for years.
Yeah.
And so you can put it on one application. It'll last a long time. Then you can just kind of supplement that with your chicken or cow or horse manure. And whatever you do, make sure the manure that you get doesn't have any of those forever chemicals in it that they've been, the horse people, they'll buy grass hay or alfalfa hay that's been sprayed with some of those forever chemicals, and it'll show up in your plants and it'll ruin your garden. So don't use the hay or the bedding from that kind of a crop that has those chemicals in it, because you'll be fighting that for years to get rid of it. It's very detrimental to your vegetable garden. So.
Yeah. We are also thinking of putting a corn fertilizer mix on our store. So along with other vegetables. Yeah. So you guys don't have to try to buy the base ingredients and figure out the right ratios and that kind of thing. So,
make it simple.
Right. So another question, Dad. Do you recommend putting mycorrhizae in the soil or in your mix, or when you're applying it, would you mix the seed in some mycorrhizae powder to
that'd be
kind
good.
of inoculate the seed?
Yeah, that'd be very good to do that.
If you don't have it in your soil yet.
I probably should have done that on this crop. I could have just coated the seed with it, dampened the seed a little bit, throw it in the mycorrhizae powder, and coated it, but I didn't do that. So maybe the next time we'll do that.
Now you can fire up your drip irrigation system and water it, or are you gonna do that?
We can turn it on.
Okay.
I'll just go turn it on and you can see it.
Okay. I can hear them start to
It'll take a bit to
build the
build
pressure
up
to where they're.
pressure.
I noticed that some were leaking some residual water out of them. You can see.
Yeah, have little spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over here. Yeah.
So takes a few minutes because a lot of lineal feet to fill.
A lot of air in there. Yeah, there they go. There's some drips out of there. So do you recommend planting all of your corn all at once, or what's
No.
kind of your approach to staging plantings or whatever?
On this one especially, first reason was that I'm trying different varieties, but another reason why this is planted right here, you see over here there's a row of tomatoes. These are Determinate tomatoes, and pardon the look of the tomatoes, they don't look very good because these are experimental plants and some of our growing mixes, and I just didn't want to throw them in the compost.
Yeah.
And so I just put them here. So these are called Bobcat variety, and they're a Determinate variety, and I'm trying to figure out a good way to support Determinate tomatoes. I don't normally grow Determinate tomatoes at all just because of the support system is not what I like. But I want to keep learning, and I want to see if growing on a stock panel like this, if I can make that work and keep it tidy, keep it productive, and
For determinates.
for Determinates,
Yeah.
because they only grew up this high or so,
Yeah.
and that'll be it. I put one indeterminate plant down here at the end that I'm going to grow up and then run all the way down to the end and let it just hang tomatoes down here, and that's the plan, because that'll be above the height that these will grow. And so we'll see how it works. So this corn is here to shade this in the afternoon. The west is over there, the west side, the hot west sun comes down, just bakes these tomatoes, and it's 110 degrees out here. And this corn standing up, this tall, it's going to give them a nice shade in the hot afternoon. And that'll keep them from getting sun scald. So that's why this corn patch is right here. The other corn patch I'll plant in different plantings, probably 3 to 4 different plantings. At least I'll have one major, bigger planting for freezing, for putting away for storage. And then I'll have 2 or 3 other smaller plantings just for fresh eating. And then even after that, like when the broccoli and cabbage, the brassicas come out, I'll plant corn in those spots. And that'll be clear up until, frost in the fall. And that's the best time for me. I love sweet corn when it's cold out. And hot sweet corn on the cob, can't get any better than that.
It's fall candy.
Yeah, so I fill in with corn in different places just for that late fall. Even if they don't ripen in time, I'll have them right up until the very first freeze.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be sitting there, I wish I had some sweet corn. So
Yeah.
So that's how I do the plantings. Just one major big one for the freezing, and then smaller ones just for fresh eating.
Yeah. And you'll have those obviously more square planting shapes, arrangements.
As square as I
patch.
can keep them. The bigger planting is going to be, maybe 4 drip tapes wide and 40 feet long here. And then maybe the next 2 drip tapes, I'll just divide that up into maybe 4 plantings, small plantings. And then, of course, throughout the garden, I'll be adding more small plantings as the season progresses.
Yeah.
So
that's real helpful to get kind of an overall 1,000-foot view of kind of how you stage things and why you do it that way.
And now you can see the drip spots coming on where all the emitters are.
Yeah. You can sure see them.
So
hey, if you guys are having problems finding 6-inch spacing drip emitting tape, let us know. Because we do have a source for it, obviously. And, I've considered buying, thousands and thousands of feet at a time, and then partitioning off smaller rolls, whatever you guys need. So let us know in the comment section if that's something you have a problem finding, because we can get it.
And this is 8-inch here, 6-inch. I'd prefer 6-inch if we can get it, which I guess we can.
Yeah, we can, yeah.
But this, I've always used 8 because I couldn't get it before the 6-inch. But 6-inch, I would do that if I could get it. So when I switch this out, I still got a whole roll of this, 4,000 feet of it. So it'll be a while before I'm ready to switch it out to. It does plug up with minerals because we got high minerals here. So it has a lifespan. It doesn't just go on forever. And I'll get I'll probably get 3 years out of it, and then I'll just replace it. It's still dripping, but I like it to be very consistent for every emitter and all the way from the beginning to the end of the run, and not have inconsistent watering. So I'll just pull it out and put new stuff in.
Yeah.
It's so cheap.
You can sure see all the little water spots they're emitting.
I'm just looking here. There's one that's missing.
I saw that.
Oh, it's a splice. This is where I hit it with something. I put a splice in. That's why we don't have
An
a
emitter.
drip spot right there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's a lot of good information people can apply and kind of see how you do the corn planting in your own garden. And
Yeah, I've probably
your way.
forgotten a bunch of things. Usually after getting out of the video, I go, oh, I should have said such and such. I should have said this. So I'd save it for the next video.
Well, that was kind of fun, kind of following Dad along and watching him plant his corn. Hopefully there's a lot of good, useful information in there for you. If you want more information, just check out a bunch of our other videos we have on planting different vegetables and how Dad does his gardening. It's pretty useful. So check those out on our channel. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. It helps support our work that we do here and gives us more time and freedom to make more content for you. If you want to support us more substantially in a financial way, then become a member. We have a couple different tiers and there's different benefits. Like you get early access to members only videos if you're a titanium level member or higher. And also on Patreon, you can contribute there if you feel so inclined. And we thank you for that. It does help us be able to do more content because we got to pay the bills. So it takes time to make all these videos. And if we don't have the time, because we're doing other things to actually pay our bills, then you don't get as much content.
Yep.
So we really appreciate it. It's helpful. And I know there's a bunch of you guys that have already contributed, and we thank you for that.
Thank you.
A lot of these soil amendments you see in our videos, they're available on sutherlandorganics.com. And you can find that link down in the description, or maybe a little link in the top of your screen on the right-hand side right now. We usually get your order out the same day if it's placed by 9 a.m. Pacific time or 12, which would be noon Eastern Standard Time. Oh yeah, one other thing that I mentioned in one of our previous videos is we're going to, Lord willing, be launching a little series of products on our store. And they are basically amendment mixes that are tailored to specific varieties of vegetables that are common, like
Corn, beets, beans,
potatoes,
tomatoes. Yeah, just more the most common vegetables.
Carrots, and so keep an eye out for that. We'll probably have a video on that when that comes out, so that you don't have to try to buy all the raw ingredients and then mix them yourself and try to figure out the ratios and that kind of thing. So if you're interested in that, please let us know down in the comment section. We like the feedback, because obviously we don't want to bring something to market that there's no market for.
Yeah.
So let us know. And we really appreciate those of you that have purchased stuff from our store. There's been a pile of you guys, and that has been amazing. It's definitely been a lot larger response than I thought that there was going to be. So thank you very much. We've had a lot of fun packing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of orders and shipping them out, thousands of packages. Actually both my boys helped me, my wife, and some of my other little kids. So that's a lot of fun. They get to run the taping machine and box up stuff and bag things up. So,
and even the old grandpa gets to get in there once in a while and help out.
Yeah.
Back up.
Yeah, I'd call in the reserves.
Yeah.
Get those old guys out of retirement, bring them in here, make them work a little bit. Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun, and a lot of the comments you guys leave with your orders, we get to see them, and it's been pretty nice. Thank you very much. We always want to close with a little note that's important. This time it is, Jesus said, I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved,